Alrighty, guys. Okay, so we're going to continue today what we started yesterday. Yesterday we started talking about the bitachon that we need to have when we're alone. And today we're going to talk specifically when somebody has no wife and no children, or living alone, no friends, and how to take solace in the idea that they are alone in this world. I mean, not really alone in this world, but they just don't have anybody else. So the Chovos HaLevavos talks about, and we're going to talk today about the kind of the concept of what we do, what we can do when we're alone, what we can do for Hashem. So after he brings to mind these ideas, yesterday we spoke about the ideas of how you should feel when you're alone. How should you feel? You should feel that Hashem is around you, that we said that also a person has to understand that when it comes to Olam Haba, he's also going there alone. He doesn't bring anybody or anything with him. We spoke about some of those ideas, that the Menuchas HaNefesh. So today we're going to talk about a little bit further into that. So he says, that a person has been relieved from the heavy burden of maintaining a family when he's alone. So he's talking about, it's a little interesting because we know that, I mean, it's a burden. I don't know how you want to think about it, but what the Chovos HaLevavos says, there's a lot to it because you got to maintain it. He should consider that this is a benefit that he has from Hashem. Why? Because if otherwise he wouldn't be able to be busy to do the things that he wants to do for Hashem. He would have to be busy all the time to make money and take care of his wife and his family. And so what Chovos HaLevavos is saying, that a person who is alone should take solace in the idea that perhaps it is actually a benefit to this person, particularly someone who's looking to become closer to Hashem. His effort will be made easier by not having a wife and children. And their absence brings him a certain degree of calm and emotional as well as financial benefit, because he doesn't have to come home and deal with homework and with bath time and with making money to be able to support the family. So there is a degree of mental stability when you have something like when you don't have a family. And if he was one who strives to perfection of matters pertaining to his afterlife, meaning if he's somebody he really wants to dedicate his time on this world to gain as much Olam Haba as he can after he dies, his mind will be undoubtedly be clearer and freer to serve Hashem when he is in solitude. I want you guys to think for a second. We're talking about Bitachon, and we're talking about somebody who's alone, no wife and no kids. And interestingly, the Chovos HaLevavos doesn't mention that the person should have Bitachon, that Hashem is going to send them a wife and children. Think about it for a second. He says over here in the Cliff Notes, the Chovos HaLevavos says, Bitachon, what the Chovos HaLevavos is trying to bring over here and is trying to portray, and why the Chovos HaLevavos didn't say, have Bitachon that you're going to have a family and children. Why? Chovos HaLevavos says that Bitachon is an attitude. The attitude in the appropriate practice of Bitachon for a lonely person, the Chovos HaLevavos does not mention he should hope or trust that Hashem will relocate him or to bring him a family to wherever he is. Clearly, Bitachon means adopting the attitude of trust that Hashem knows what's best for a person and has to put him in a situation that is best for him. So what do we see from this? This is a very clear example Chovos HaLevavos is trying to show us. A person that's alone, he's not talking about having bitachon, he's going to have a wife and children. He's trying to show you that a person in whatever state he is in his life, whether he's alone, whether he has money, whether he's suffering, whether he's not, whatever it is, understand that bitachon is the attitude that comes along with it. It's not that bitachon is not I believe that Hashem is going to give me what I'm asking for. No. Bitachon is the attitude and how you treat yourself and how you act in the times of what your present situation is. And that's what the Chovos HaLevavos was bringing with this example. Now, we all know, maybe in school when we were kids, we learned that tzaddikim used to go out of their home to do his this and different kinds of stuff. We talked about all kinds of different things that they would do in order to get close to Hashem. So the Rav Av says over here, there's a lot of people over the course of the years, thousands of years, that they voluntarily put themselves into seclusion. Where do we see this? He says, therefore, the Purushim were types of people that they would constantly go and seclude themselves from society, from worldly things, and put themselves in a position where they have no distractions and that they can focus on Hashem. They can focus on doing mitzvahs. They can focus on just doing whatever they need to do to feel closer to Hashem and to build up their Olam Haba. The Purushim, they would often escape Mekareveim or B'Tateim El Ha'arim. They would run away from their homes. They would go into the mountains. Kadei sheyefanu leBoisam la'avodas Elikim. So they could free their minds to focus on the service of Hashem. So they could go ahead and, even though they have family obligations, so they have to get away for a little bit to clear up that time and go and do everything of Hashem Shemayim regularly without any kind of distractions. We see this. We see that in times of the Nevuim that the people did that. We know that Hashem sent Eliyahu Navi to go get Elisha and to train him to be one of the next prophets. Eliyahu Navi went to find Elisha. When he came to Elisha's home, he saw him in the field. There were 12 sets of oxen that were working the fields. Elisha was the last one of those 12 sets. Eliyahu Navi went to him, and he took off his mantle, which is the garb, the traditional garb of the Nevuim at that time, and he put it onto Elisha. Elisha got the hint. He understood what this meant, that he was being picked to go be a Navi. And so Elisha asked Eliyahu that he asked him, can I please go to my mother and my father and kiss them farewell? Why? Because he knew in his mind that in order to do what he wanted to do, he needed to be in total seclusion. So we see that seclusion was a big part of Judaism, where people secluded themselves from the world as much as they can, and they took the bare basics that they needed in order to survive, so they can go and focus just on Hashem. There's a piece over here that talks about seclusion in our times. Where do we see this? We see actually in the last 100 years, we see in Europe that people, tzaddikim, Hasidim actually would go. Chaim says that Hasidim would go. A lot of people who were Musar people would go. And Reb Shlomo Wolbe, he brings an idea that you should keep in mind. We know that the stars, the moon, is in the sky all the time. But throughout the day, we cannot see it. Correct? What happens at night when it turns dark, now all of a sudden we see those stars, which were always there. They never left. They don't get turned off. They don't run away and come back at night. Rav Shlomo Wolbe says, in order for a person to see the true stars in him, to see what he is capable of and to focus on that, he has to remove himself from the light, from being in between everything and all the busyness, all the traffic of life. And he has to go into the darkness. You have to remove the light. The sun has to set so that you can see the stars, you can see the moon, you can work on yourself internally. It is important that we work on ourselves internally, and we see this. It's not even, honestly, I don't even think it's a Jewish concept. We see people go and they do meditation. People meditate. Now, obviously, they do it for different reasons. We also do it. Jews also do meditation. But the idea of secluding yourself, shutting your phone, people say this all the time, my favorite vacation would be if I can just go away for a week, shut my phone and not be busy with anything. People do this, l'shem shamayim. People do this. They close their phones, they remove themselves, they go to the mountains in the summertime, they have no cell phone reception, they sit under a tree on a bench and they learn. It's a peace. It's a peace that you don't get throughout the year, because throughout the year you're very busy. Your phone is always ringing. There's always something popping up on your phone. And so the concept of seclusion is in today's times as well. And Rav Shlomo Wolbe says that people should try and work on themselves, that every once in a while, weekly, monthly, or every quarter, is to do something like that. to put themselves into seclusion. I know Ben Roth, I know that you do, and a lot of other people, maybe some other ones over here too, they go onto, when they go learn twice a year, once a year, people go to Israel, people do it over here. Ben, what is it called? Yachikala. What's the concept of that? You shut your phone and you just learn. Right? There's a concept to that we just focus on one thing the whole day, and that's L'Shem Shemayim. This concept is real. Now, before we close for the day, I had the zechus 2 nights ago to meet with the Vishnitzer Rebbe of Bnei Brak. I have a friend, and he is a Vishnitzer, and he comes to my house every once in a while, and we chat for a long time. And his Rebbe, his Heilige Rebbe, the Vishnitzer Rebbe from Bnei Brak, is in town this week. And so he asked me to come visit him. I said, I'm not this big chussid guy. He goes, no, come for me, he said. I said, no problem. So I said, I'll come for you. So I went to the Rebbe. I went in for a bracha, and most people, they go in, they go out, you're in there for a few minutes. I wound up sitting with the Rebbe for 20 minutes. I was schmoozing with the Rebbe. The Rebbe actually was talking more than I was, and you guys know I love to talk. What was the Rebbe telling me? The Rebbe, at the beginning, he looked at the Kvittel, we play a little Jewish geography, because I happen to know the Rebbe's son-in-law, and he said something about the word, he just mentioned the word Bitachon. I lit up, and I said, I know. He goes, was weißt du? So he said, I've been learning it for the last 4 weeks in the Shiur. He said, every person has hardships. Ich bin a Rebbe. I had so many hardships in my life. To date, I've learned Shaar Habitachon over 60 times in my life. Every morning before I daven, I learn a little bit of Shaar Habitachon. He says, it should be a bracha for your entire Shiur. He says, if you guys put yourself into it, you're going to see it's a shuman kind of anxiety in Leben. You're never going to have to worry. You're not going to have that anxiety. You put yourself into it. He explained to me in Yiddish, but he said, it's the way we know it. It's a structure of our lives. It's something that helps us every single day. And he gave us a bracha that we should learn it, and we should be mekabel it internally. It should come easy to us, and then life will be so much better for us. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it, and I love you all.
Today's first Shiur